Greetings, welcome back to another fabulous episode of the Death, Taxes, and Sports Podcast, episode 128. I'm here with my esteemed Johnson Wells alumni, Mr. Ben Holloway. Sir, how are you doing?
Doing good, sir. Doing good. How about yourself?
Good, man. Good. It's been another interesting week in sports, in the sporting world. I got a little bit of Lakers. Got a little bit of Lakers playing right now. This one's going to be interesting to see if they drop. If they lose, I guess if they lose, then they will. I don't know. We'll see how that plays out, but we'll talk about that one later. But you ready to get some NBA playoffs, NFL draft, a little bit of Masters talk and more?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right. Let's first get to these NBA playoffs, man, because this NBA playoffs is going to be, I think, probably one of the more exciting NBA playoffs based on how the end of the season, how the last day of the regular NBA season concluded. Gets a lot of people excited. We want to talk a little bit about some bold predictions here, and each you and I might take maybe one or two. Let's make it a little bit more exciting. But I'll toss it to you first, sir. Give me two bold predictions.
So I got the Mavericks going to the conference finals, and I just the way that Kyrie and Luka are playing, which. Yeah, last year they struggled obviously with injuries, and they were probably both being too passive with each other, didn't trust each other. First of all, let's welcome Gary to the show. Gary, I will pause. Say your hello, sir.
Sports fans, how's everybody doing? Good to see everybody again.
Awesome. So as far as the Mavs go, I feel like Kyrie and Luka too good individually to not figure it out, and injuries and probably just trying to be too nice to each other. They didn't figure it out last year, right? But they're so individually talented that it was like a matter of time, it felt like, before they figured it out, and they have figured it out. And Luka took a worse team to the conference finals, and I know Kyrie had had Durant with the Nets, but there was a lot of injuries there and all that. Luka's, definitely the best player, I would say, given their stage of their careers, best player he's played with after LeBron. I take Luka right now than Durant 2 years ago, probably by a hair. But either way, it's a great opportunity for both Luka and Kyrie. And even if the Clippers, who their first-round matchup is, who it's going to be probably a 7-game series, even if Kawhi and Paul George make it through the series, which we hope and we wish, we want to see players healthy, teams at their best. Even if they do, I still got the Mavericks winning that series, but there's a chance, as we know, with their injury histories, that one of them could go down. So that's where I want to start on my bold NBA prediction.
Can we just say, for one thing, when I saw that Kawhi Leonard is the last person to make the USA roster, and I'm like, wait a minute, okay, let me get this straight. You have a litany of knee injuries. You could barely make the playoffs, but yet you want to play for Team USA. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't even know why they would even entertain that. I don't even know why they would even channel Embiid even playing it after playing them a playoff run, and then you want to. Yeah, okay, I'll see if that actually happens. But let's go back to that one, and then Gary, I'll toss to you, get your thoughts. When they decided to tank that last game to get that 10th pick, that was a franchise-altering pick, because who did they draft? Derek Lively. Derek Lively was the number 1 overall rated player in the class of 2022, I believe. So he's young, 7-footer. I said, you give guards like that a good high post, pick and roll type of guy like him, a decent rim protector, you better watch out. So I really wouldn't be surprised in that one. I actually like that. Gary, let's get you in this one. Dallas Mavericks, his bold take, making it to the conference finals. You feeling that?
I don't know how bold a take that is. I think with how strong the West is, Dallas could easily find themselves in the conference finals. Hell, they could easily find themselves winning the West. It is entirely possible. It's not out the realm of possibility. But this year, you can say that same thing for Phoenix, for the Clippers, for if you want to go down the plan route, you could even say the Lakers and the Warriors. Like, there's enough teams in the West that could easily make the finals. And of course, I'm forgetting the Nuggets as well in that group. If you're asking like how far can Dallas go in being realistic, yeah, that's a conference final. I could see. I believe if the field is how it's supposed to be, Dallas is the 5 seed, correct?
Hmm.
Yeah, Dallas
So
versus Clippers, round 1.
so then in theory they wouldn't be playing the Denver Nuggets until the conference final.
Correct.
So I could easily see that being the conference finals. I personally think that Denver has it in them to at least get back to the NBA finals, but it's going to be a tougher test. And I think of the teams in the West, Dallas is going to give them the bigger problems.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna throw one real quick here at you. OKC is the youngest number 1 seed. One bold take. I think they get bounced in the first round. Um, I mean, if the Lakers lose this game right now, which I think they should, even though I don't agree with teams losing in situations, but the Lakers are a hell of a matchup with their size in the post against OKC. OKC's biggest question is, can Chet Holmgren be a viable solution at 5? I don't see him playing 5. I see him as an overstretched Durant-like type guy that is super tall, super athletic, can stretch the floor. That's my take. Gary, I'll toss it to your thoughts, and then Ben.
So I think you're right. I think of all the top seeds in both conferences, the most vulnerable is going to be Oklahoma City. Now, saying that, do I think that they can win a first round series? It really depends on who they run up against. If you're telling me it's the Lakers, no, I don't think they can win that series. If you're telling me it's Golden State, sure, I can see that happening. If you tell me it's New Orleans, it's really up in the air there as well. There's too much. There's too high quality of teams in the play-in bracket for these 1 and 2 seeds, and we've said this over the last couple of years with the different top seeds. These teams that are in the play-in bracket really are playoff level teams that are ripe to take out a 1 or 2 seed. So I think at this point we've reached the point, I think, guys, that you may not even want to be a 1 or 2 seed anymore. You may just want to get in just to get in, and then push your luck. You look at the Lakers last season; they were a 7 seed. Now, yes, a lot of things had to fall their way to find themselves in the conference finals. But hey, that's the name of the game. Things fall teams' ways. Look at the Miami Heat; things fell their way last season. So if you're Oklahoma City, if you're Minnesota, if you're any of these teams, like, you are ripe for the picking because that's just how the NBA in this play-in tournament has set itself up.
That all good points, Ben.
I like it. I think that, kind of like it. I would say that at this point, Lakers are up by 12, I think, at halftime, by 10, 60 to 50. So, whole half to play, things can happen, but let's go with the assumption that they're playing to win, which clearly they are. If they're up by 10, they're going to be the 7th seed. So then we have to play, okay, so are the Pelicans going to be the 8, or will it end up being Warriors or Kings? Which Warriors, Kings, I know the Warriors are playing like this, and the Kings are doing the opposite. The Kings win that game, especially there's a little bit of revenge considering the Warriors ended their season last year. But either way, let's say the Warriors win and the Warriors are the 8. I could definitely see them taking out OKC for sure. I can see that. Gary, before we move forward, give us a bold take. What you got?
So I'm going to say, and I don't know how bold a take this is going to be, but I'm going to say that we're going to see both number 1 seeds fall in the first round.
Ooh, let's talk about this. Let's talk about the Celtics one. Tell me what you're feeling on this one. I like where you're going.
Everybody keeps hyping them and keeps saying like, "Hey, they've lapped the league. They were the best team this past season," and they were, which leads me to believe that they are in the prime position to be upset. I think at some point the pressure is going to get to them because the last 3 postseasons, the pressure has gotten to them. All 3. You look at how they played against the Warriors in the finals in 22. You think about they lost to Milwaukee in 21. They lost to Miami at home. Despite coming back from a 3-0 deficit, you came back and forced a Game 7 on your floor. By all rights, that should have been the coronation of the Boston Celtics going to the NBA Finals against Denver, and it wasn't. Jimmy Butler tore their hearts out right in front of them. This team does not have the toughness, in my opinion, to go as far. Now, I can say all this, and they could easily win the NBA championship because of the talent that they have. But I think that losing Marcus Smart, trading Marcus Smart, is going to come back to bite them in the ass in this postseason. And I think that they're going to be one of those teams. They're going to be in the Milwaukee spot from last year, where a team like whoever comes out as the 8th seed. I'm sorry if it's going to be whoever is the loser of the 7-8 matchup from tomorrow, Philly or Miami. They can beat Boston in a 7-game series.
Yeah, and then before I toss it to you, like I think that's perfect because the record that matters to me is 2-5 against the teams that are in the top seeds currently, at least 3 or higher. They're 2-5. I remember that game against Denver last month. Jason Tatum scored 0 points. Jaylen Brown, who was sick, carried that team with 35 points that game, I believe. This team cannot win a championship. This team cannot win a championship with Jaylen Brown as the best player. Jason Tatum has to be it, and he has to be clutch in the fourth quarter. And there's still a lot of questions about Porzingis because he hasn't played any meaningful games. And Ben,
he's never done this before.
Right, exactly. And we've talked about this a lot. The guys like Prater, some of those other guys coming off the bench that are going to have to play pivotal roles, play pivotal minutes. I'm just not sure they're going to do it. But I'll toss it to you and then take it away with NBA players who are facing the most pressure. Take it away.
Yeah, I would agree with a lot of that. I think it's pretty likely that it's going to be the Heat again. And the Heat and Celtics have quite the history in the playoffs. Going back to even when LeBron and Wade, it started kind of back then. And, it's been quite the rivalry in the playoffs. So that definitely could go either way. But we definitely want to, talk about some players with pressure. And Gary, perfect transition for me, at least, because Tatum is number 1 on my list, facing the most pressure in the playoffs. I've got Jason Tatum. I mean, the Celtics have made 5 out of the last 7 conference finals in the East, and only 1 time have they made it to the NBA finals. But still, how many times are you going to be right there and not get it done? They've come so close for so long, and that's where, me and Jeff kind of talked about it. I truly think they made a mistake paying, Jaylen Brown that maximum contract, because now when you do that, they do not have a choice. They have to pay Tatum. There's no other way.
And they just paid Holiday.
And you gotta pay Tatum. If you pay Brown that money, you're gonna have to pay Tatum a little bit more. And it's like, how many seasons are they gonna play together, have a lot of success, but no championships? Like I'm not 100% sure they made the right decision there. Time will tell. I mean, they have the talent to win it all, of course, but I think that Tatum, especially, I'll leave with this. His performance in the finals, and he's got some making up to do. So he's my number 1 as far as most pressure.
Gary, I'm going to talk about your best friend here, and then I'm going to go to you. And all great points, Ben. I'm going to say James Harden. Tatum is number 1 for me, but just to diversify it and to change up the content here, I'm going to say James Harden. I think it's very clear. We know what James Harden is: an exceptional offensive talent, 10-time plus All-Star, multiple scoring titles, regular season MVP. He's a Hall of Famer in my opinion. But when it comes to a narrative perspective, 1, he's a poison to franchises. 2, the way he's left every franchise in his career has been bad. OKC to Houston, bad. Houston to Brooklyn Nets, bad. Nets to the Sixers, bad. Sixers to the Clippers, bad. And then he gives you that one good playoff game, then he doesn't show up. So I think for him, not only do they need to go deep in the playoffs, but they need to win the title either this year or next year. Well, they need to win the title this year, I think. And then also, in order for him to make up or to be vindicated in any way when he leaves the league, what is he going to be known for? He can be a hero or save anything if he can just be a key contributor on a championship team. He has to do that. Gary, your thoughts, and then we'll get to your player. Ben, feel free to jump in.
No, you're absolutely right. James Harden is under a lot of pressure, but you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and just say it. Like, not only is it James Harden, I'm going to throw Paul George in there as well. I think we keep talking about this team. Really, if you look at this roster, you look at Harden, you have Harden, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Russell Westbrook. You have 4 MVP caliber players, 2 of them that actually won MVP, a former NBA champion and Finals MVP in Kawhi Leonard, and you have a prolific scorer in Paul George. That team, in and of itself, should be leaps and bounds better than where they have been. So I'm going to put the onus on all of them, really the entire Clipper franchise. This might be the best team since your Lob City days. So you have to do something with this. You cannot just stick, keep maintain the status quo, and it's like, you go out in the first round and it's like, oh, well, we'll get them next year. No, these players are getting older, especially Harden. Harden's my age, so I'm going to sit there and say he's getting old. There's fewer cracks at this left for them. The West is getting better. You want to, and you're moving into that nice, beautiful new building in Inglewood next season. You want to have some positive momentum going into that building. So you need to at least, as a Clipper franchise, you have to at least make it to the conference finals again. You can't just fall short in the first round. Otherwise, I blow it all up and I move on from Ty Lue.
Okay. Hey, I'm with that. Ben, what you feeling?
I'll throw one more name. Kevin Durant has not made the conference finals without the Warriors. Granted, he was about an inch away from doing so with that.
He was a big toe away from doing it.
That 3-pointer, but facts are facts. You haven't been back to the conference finals without Steph and Clay and all that, and it's like he's kind of he's a little bit younger than LeBron, but he's kind of running out of good chances too. So he's got to take advantage, especially with his injury history and his team's injury history between Beal, Booker, and him. Like, they are healthy right now. So he's running out of chances.
I like that one. And one of the other bold predictions that I was going to throw out there was that the Suns were going to course correct and beat the Wolves in the first round because Bradley Beal's healthy and Grayson Allen has actually been a surprisingly good player. Hopefully he doesn't lose his gray hair anymore because he looks like a politician that is stressed out about an upcoming scandal, someone said in one of his photos. I don't take credit for that joke. But anyway, Gary, the one thing when we talk about narratives for Kevin Durant, I still think Kevin Durant was the reason why they won those 2 titles. He won finals MVPs, but when you think about his career, I feel like those 2 championships kind of did more bad than good when it comes to his narrative and where he's going to be landed on one of the all-time greats. Isaiah Thomas had made a very good point about him a couple weeks ago, and it actually kind of changed my mind about Kevin Durant for a little bit because I thought, okay, you could put him in the top 15, but him leaving a team that he was up 3-1, then joins a team that won 73 games the season before. They already won a championship before you, and you just kind of join them. From a narrative perspective, that kind of a little messy for me. But your thoughts, Gary?
No, I think when it's all said and done, Kevin Durant might be the greatest journeyman in the history of professional sports, if we're being honest about it. Like, I think, you look at him, and yes, he's brought a modicum of success everywhere he's gone. But as you astutely pointed out, Jeff, he didn't do it. He hasn't gone to the promised land since leaving Golden State. Yes, he was about a big toe away from getting to the conference finals with Brooklyn, but let's be honest, I don't think they're going to win the conference finals had they even made it. I think you're right. For his legacy, he needs to have a dominant playoff run And honestly, I don't even care where it is at this point. If it's Phoenix, you hear the rumors about him going to the Knicks and all this other stuff. I don't care. He has to have a dominant run and be the alpha and be the guy on this team in order for his narrative and his legacy to be looked at better. Right now, yes, he's one of the all-time great scorers of all time and one of the all-time great players, probably one of the 15 greatest to do it, but he also has very much the title of a journeyman, where he's just going from team to team and trying his luck at this point.
Yeah, no doubt. I tell you what, Phoenix is booming with excitement for the playoffs, so I'll be there in that first game. Super, super excited. And speaking of good runs and that has come to an end, in 1996, the Arizona or a team from Winnipeg moved to Arizona in 1996 and became the Coyotes. Such a great name. And they moved to Salt Lake City. Let's put this turn of events. When they first came, they played at Footprint Center in downtown Phoenix. Perfect location. Gee, let's move to Glendale, Arizona, which is 35 minutes out from the city. Terrible traffic. Then you don't pay your taxes. Glendale says, we don't want you. Then you move to a 4,400 seat arena at Mullen Arena at Arizona State. And then you're supposed to get a place, then you don't. Then you move to Salt Lake City. I think this was coming. And when this goes into a bigger thing with any sports team, you have to ingratiate yourself with the city and the fan base to draw ticket sales. Marketing. You have to contact other small businesses who want to buy suites. They buy suites. They pay a premium for a certain number of seats every day or every game. That's automatic revenue. They didn't do that. I think Salt Lake City is going to be a great opportunity for them. With all the 4 other sports that we have here in Arizona, not so much. But I think it's a good move. But you hate to see a professional sports team, NHL hockey, to leave. That's just jobs. Who wants to go first on this one?
Allow me. Sorry, just
Okay.
because I do very rarely do I have very deep intrinsic thoughts about hockey. So I'm just going to run with this while it's still on my mind.
Go for it.
I've never seen, in terms of Arizona, I've never seen a city or a state not gravitate to a team the way that Arizona failed to gravitate to the Coyotes. I think, yes, like you said, Jeff, there's a lot of movement. There's a lot of mistrust, a lot of just poor management, poor decision making. Like you said, the fact that they're barely selling out an arena on a campus of Arizona State speaks volumes to the problem. I said to you guys in the group chat separately, this might be their best move because at least now under Ryan and Ashley Smith, it looks like there's going to be some sort of stability. There's going to be more level-headedness and more patience. And you have a town like Salt Lake City who's starved for sports franchises. It's the Jazz and the University of Utah and Brigham Young. That's the sports in the state. So this city, or the state of Utah, they're going to get behind this hockey team in a way that Arizona never could. And it's not because, hockey doesn't play well in the Southwest. I believe that's a BS statement. I think that if you put enough marketing and investment behind it, then anything can be successful anywhere. But I think long-term, this is really the best move for them. And if they get another franchise in a few years, once they've shown that they can have an arena in place that's going to be conducive to hockey, to playing hockey, then it's good for them too. So I think for the NHL, they want to expand. Salt Lake City was never really on the was never on the radar, but now that it is, it makes perfect sense.
Facts. Well put, Ben.
Yeah, I'll quickly say that you did a great job with the mismanagement and just that's what I would call it, with how they handled everything really since they were in Arizona. But I'll more so focus on the outcome. The outcome being here, they're going to Salt Lake City, and I just think we're going to go back in time a little bit, gentlemen. But those, Stockton and Malone Jazz teams, and then later on, those, Andre Kirilenko, Deron Williams Jazz teams, like that city knows how to cheer on a team. that city knows how to get behind. So I think it's a perfect move. So I don't have much on that besides Phoenix and the organization clearly mismanaged things a lot. But the outcome of going to a great sports city, I think, is a really good outcome.
I'm curious to see what they're going to name this team. I'm just really curious because you can't do Salt Lake City. I mean, no, you can't. You got to come up with something.
I don't think they're
You
going
got
to
to
call
come up with
themselves Salt
something
Lake.
different.
I don't think they're going to call themselves Salt Lake City. I think it'll be like the Utah, whatever, because, I mean, with that state, you can represent the whole state and be in Salt Lake City. I don't think you need to specify a city there.
No doubt. And this also, and then we'll get to the Masters. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but can I just say this reminds me of the Oakland Athletics kind of situation, just a little bit, and the way that is. Can we just pull a pivot? I just want to pull a pivot real quick. What a mess. Go ahead, Gary.
No, I mean to cut you off there, but I was just saying, like, the difference between the A's and the Coyotes is the fan base. The Oakland fan base still gives a damn about their A's. I can't say the same thing about Arizona and their Coyotes. It never seemed like they cared enough in Arizona.
Oh yeah. No, I mean it from what I mean is from a mismanagement perspective, because it's been so terribly mismanaged. This team is playing in West Sacramento in a minor league arena. Like, the standard, I think this goes into a bigger conversation, Ben, and then Gary, and then we can move on, is these teams, there should be a standard for North American sports teams. The standard just isn't there. No team should play in a high school, in a college arena, or even a college stadium. That should never happen. And the fact that you have a North American franchise in the fifth largest media market, Phoenix is the fifth largest, one of the biggest cities in the country, and it failed. But I don't know. I digress on this. Ben, take it away, sir. Masters. And let's talk about your biffle, Scottie Scheffler.
Yes, so we will go on to the Masters here. We have a couple of quick segments, but we're going to focus on Scottie Scheffler at first. And it just, when you watch, like, it felt like on the back nine, there was, he still got a long way to go career accomplishment-wise, but there was a Tiger effect on the back nine. You used to see all the time in Tiger's prime, and even in 2019 when he won the Masters, everybody started making mistakes on the back nine, and he was playing clean, and he took it and won it. But it's like once Woods was near the top of the leaderboard, on a major Sunday, it forced other players, to play worse and to play, make mistakes. And you saw that on Sunday as well, because there was a lot of players, Homa and Max Homa and Morikawa, to name a few, that made some really bad scores on the back nine. And it had that feeling where, holy crap, we have to play perfect golf because we're going against the best player in the world, which he is. So just watching it, it almost was like he just kind of coasted to victory. Not that he coasted, because he made a bunch of birdies on the back nine as well. And it was just, a dominant performance. And the guys around him made big mistakes on Sunday. And it kind of reminds you of Tiger in his prime when he was in the lead or towards the lead on Sunday. A lot of people make mistakes because they're trying to play too perfect. And that's kind of the vibe that I got. Scheffler deserves all the credit in the world. 2 Masters in 3 years. So all the credit to him. But yeah, it just, you're watching it and you just see it.
I mean, Tiger Woods, even if we can get to even 25% of the level of dominance that Tiger had, that is something special. I don't think we're ever going to see anyone be able to replicate the type of dominating performances, tournament in and tournament out, like Tiger Woods. I think he set the bar so high. But I do agree, the back nine, the man was just absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I think you kind of took the words right out of my mouth on that one. So I'm just going to leave that one to you. Gary, I know how much you love about the Masters, but well,
I'll simply say, you made the point about Tiger Woods and how dominant he was. Because of him, this generation of golfers are so much better than the previous generation of golfers. Like, it's why you won't see that dominant run. Now, this might be the closest to it, but you're not going to see somebody winning by 15 strokes anymore. Like, that was a special time. That in Tiger Woods was a special athlete and golfer to do such a thing, but he also inspired the next generation, which is playing now. So as such, you're not there. It's almost cookie cutter in a sense of like you're watching the disciples of Tiger Woods and how they're playing, and that dominance is just, it's special to him. It's not going to be the same going forward for like all these other golfers.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And this is going to be interesting. Ben, let me get with these players that are disappointed because I feel a type of way about this one. Can I leave with this one, sir?
I feel a type of way about a different guy, so I love it. Let's go.
Yeah, no, there are two players that I was very disappointed in, and that was two of my esteemed friends, not really, Brooks Koepka and Sergio Garcia. I said that Sergio Garcia, 2017 champion, was my dark horse to be able to win it. But we knew that this typically hasn't been one of his favorite venues. He missed his fifth cut in 6 appearances. That's pretty bad. I know that the conditions really weren't right for a lot of people on Fridays, but when you're a guy of his caliber and his ilk, to miss the cut that many times in those many instances in 5 out of 6 years, I think is really bad. I know the course is really tough, and Friday was tough for a lot of people, but if you won it before, so missing the cut 5 out of 6 times to me is unacceptable. And then Brooks Koepka, man. I mean, this was a guy that was never a factor. He finished second last year, right? But he missed the cut in 2022. But here's his numbers, Ben. 73, 73, 76, and 75 on Sunday. Tied for 48. How about that one for you, Ben? Doesn't that give you a lot of chills? Ooh, 48 place win. Brooks is one of my favorite golfers outside of Justin Thomas. Very disappointed in his play. If you're listening, Brooks, very disappointed. But Ben, what say you, sir? I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, so I got 3, but I'm gonna go in on one. Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth, two disappointments for sure. They both missed the cut. Justin Thomas, I believe it was +4 on his last 7 holes to miss the cut by 1. On last year, he missed the cut by 1 at the Masters by making a bogey on the 18th hole on Friday. So that's just a little bit weird that you were so close both years. But yeah, so Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth, but really I'm going to Rory. And I did a little bit here. So McIlroy finished in the top 25, but he was 15 shots back. So obviously had no chance to win.
No.
He, as talented, this is ridiculous. So the last major golf championship, and he has been healthy for the most part. He has played in all these tournaments. He's played. The last major he won was 2014, right? Now, that sounds bad on itself. They're going to make it sound a little bit worse. So there's 9 full years, because we're not at the end of 2024 yet, since then. And 6 out of those years, he finished in the top 5 official golf rankings, world golf rankings. In the other 3 years, he was still in the top 10. So for 9 years straight, you've been a top 10 officially ranked golfer, most of the time top 5, and you have 0 majors. It's just it's baffling.
Like,
it's like it's to a point where it's almost unacceptable how good he is to have not won in now close to 10 years. It's ridiculous. I can't let him off the
Gary,
hook. I just can't.
I mean, Gary, like we say this about players. Sometimes they are just who they are, right? And Rory, he came on really strong, man. He reminds me of Jordan Spieth a little bit.
They both have very similar, yeah.
Right, like where they came on very strong. Like, man, they took off. Jordan Spieth, when he won the Masters, in 2014, 2015? The man took off and then fell. Crazy. Gary, 3 words. What are 3 words to describe that? Go ahead.
No, it's the 3 words: Tiger Woods effect. We were looking for the next. Because it goes back to him. We've been looking for the next phenom, the next superstar, that's going to take over. And we saw Rory McIlroy, and he would win tournaments, and he was having these top 10, top 5 finishes left and right. And we said, okay, he can be the future. He can be the next Tiger Woods. He's looking more like the next Phil Mickelson. where he's just
Facts.
kind of he's kind of the bride, always the bridesmaid, never really the bride.
Yeah. I just don't like Phil Mickelson. Phil Mickelson just seems like an a-hole. I don't know. There's just something about him. I just don't. I don't know. He looks like that next door neighbor that you just want to punch. I'm sorry. I said what I said. I said it. I said it. Let's get to a
I
little
ain't
bit of
mad about
NFL. Yeah, let's we have one more we got to get to in this one because this one is an exciting accomplishment for Tiger Woods with the cut. But Ben, I'm gonna give it to you and just let you just take it away on that one because I know how excited you are with that one. I think it's exciting too, but I'm gonna let you lead with this one.
Yeah. We have to keep in mind 2021, the man almost lost his life and almost lost his leg. And prior to that, he had ACL injuries, he had back injuries, like severe back injuries. Like the man has injured just about everything on his body. And despite that, and by the way, he has to prep at like for 3 hours before he gets on the golf course to play. Like he's getting all the treatment that you can even imagine just to play. That's how much that he wants to be out there at this point. And the record that he set was 24 Masters in a row, 24 consecutive cuts. And that, that just speaks obviously to his talent and just, it's a record that will probably never be broken, and just kind of wanted to acknowledge it. And yeah, that's just wanted to give him a little bit of props, especially how difficult, like you alluded to, those conditions on Thursday and Friday at the Masters were some of the toughest in the last 5 to 10 years. A ton of wind, people backing away from shots, and which made it even slightly more impressive. He basically played 10 hours of golf on Friday and still made the cut, despite all those physical limitations. It doesn't matter what happened on the weekend. The fact that he played, that he made the cut, and that he finished, no matter where he finished, the fact that he finished 72 holes at this point is an accomplishment.
Well, now, Gary, your thought before we go on to NFL?
No, I couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah, you consider everything that he's been through to be able to have any kind of showing this weekend. Hats off to him. Even though we knew it was most unlikely that he was going to repeat what he did in 2019. It's still just a tremendous accomplishment to get to 24 straight cuts, and who knows? Maybe he can catch that magic someplace else one more time.
Yeah, we'll see. Exciting. Got it. Got to get there. Got to get there. All right, let's get to his NFL draft segment. We're making very good time here. So, NFL draft coming up. Don't forget, next Monday is going to be a very exciting first round mock draft. Do not miss out on that one. But, Gary, man, we talked about we got 2 questions. Which round 1 prospect you're most confident in that have a successful career, and then one you'll predict that will have a flop to meet expectations? I think for me, the one that I'm really the most confident in, no matter what system he's in, is Marvin Harrison. I think he's the most pro ready. But I'm even going to say Malik Neighbors might be just a little bit better than Marvin Harrison. I think it's like 1A and 1B, but we'll save that for on Monday. And then who I think is going to flop, I think Caleb Williams. There's just something about Caleb Williams going to the Bears that just doesn't make me feel good. And I feel he's going to fail because I feel the franchise is going to fail him versus him failing them. That's what I'm going to go with that one. But your thoughts, Gary, and feel free to take it away. But your thoughts on Caleb Williams. Just curious about that one. Kind of want to purse that one off a little bit. But go ahead, Gary, and I'll throw it to you, Ben.
No, you actually kind of, as far as who was going to flop, you kind of took my entire answer, which was Caleb Williams, and for the exact same reason. It's not going to be because of lack of skill. He's just going to name the last really good quarterback for the Chicago Bears. That's not Jim McMahon. I'll wait.
You can't. They've been searching ever since. That was
That's
1985. That was 1985, that championship.
We are approaching 40 years. 40 years since that championship, and since they had a decent quarterback. Now, no disrespect to Jim Harbaugh, no disrespect to Kyle Orton and the immortal Jay Cutler, but really, there hasn't been anybody that you can look at and go, okay, Chicago drafted him, and made him a superstar in the last 4 decades. And I'm sorry, if you couldn't do that with Justin Fields, and I feel like Pittsburgh's going to do that with him, I don't have any faith in you doing that with Caleb Williams. As far as who is going to really have a great first season, I'm gonna lean towards Malik Neighbors, but it's only. I think that he and Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be the next. Let's see. I'll say Jerry Rice and Michael Irvin, like that battle for who was going to be the alpha dog wide receiver in the NFL. I think they're going to be two solid foils for one another, no matter what teams they end up on. But I think of the two, I think Malik Neighbors is going to be your offensive rookie of the year this year. But I think Marvin Harrison Jr. off of pedigree will have the more successful, like long-term prospects.
Okay, I like it. Ben, take it away.
Yes. So on the Caleb Williams, I kind of see where both of you are going. I will say that getting Keenan Allen, although later in his stage of his career, definitely has some injury concerns to pair with DJ Moore. I think it's definitely a good move. And I think whether they stay at 9 or they move up, or even if they move back, the receiver class is so strong. They will get a receiver probably in the first round, either at 9 or, I think even if they trade up or even they trade back, they're going to draft another receiver. So my sure thing, we're going to kind of keep it the same, and it was fun. I knew we'd have some similarities here. Marvin Harrison Jr., there's a reason that people said he could have went number 1 overall last year when he wasn't eligible, which is a story for another day. But Marvin Harrison Jr., he's that guy. I'll leave it at that. And the flop or the fail to meet expectations is just like a gut feeling, and I'm going to say Drake May. And the only reason I'm saying it, I think that although they're different, and I think that he is more physically talented, it's kind of giving me that Mitchell Trubisky vibes. And they both went to Carolina. I don't know. There's just something. Like I said, to give him credit, I believe he's much more physically talented than Trubisky was. But I just feel he's being talked about for a long time about maybe going number 1 overall. Now he's, dropped down to 3 in most mocks. I just think that the expectations are so high for a top 5 quarterback. I just don't see it. Like I said, it's a gut feeling, but it's kind of giving me that Trubisky vibes. I'm just saying.
Yeah, Gary. I mean, the same scenario was played for Trubisky. The year 1 that he was a starter, he had great numbers. In the second year, his numbers dropped dramatically. His touchdowns, he had a double-digit variance. He had a double-digit degradation of performance when it came to touchdowns. Over 1,000-yard degradation in total yards passing from year 1 to year 2. His completion percentage, I'm not sure. I do think the completion percentage did drop. Correct me if I'm wrong. But there is a lot of questions, and I think that I think he's been overhyped a little bit, and I would stay away from him in the first round. But your thoughts, here?
No, I agree. I think I don't know.
Too much.
No, we agree too much. But I guess my question is, it really for him, for like a Drake May, it depends on where does he go, where does he land. I think the systems. I mean, like, let me ask you, Jeff. Like, where would you have him drafted at this point?
I mean, all the top teams are going to draft him and have a bunch of needs. Terrible offensive line, terrible receivers. I think he's going to go to the Patriots, but even with that situation, I think he's going to be like a Josh Rosen in the sense that the situation that he came into was just so terrible that he's just not like, you can't succeed if you don't have weapons. I mean, that's just the reality.
I do not want to play for the Patriots. I don't. They don't have anybody, man.
Right, but here's the thing though, right? Like, this goes into a bigger picture about GMs. Like, if you're a GM, right, like, you can't make it's like a homeboy in Carolina. Like, he is a stud of a quarterback. Bryce Young could play, okay? He's not just some player that forgot how to play, but he has nobody around him. So when these GMs are drafting these quarterbacks in the top 5, you have to go into understanding that year 1 is just a toss-up year because you have nobody around him. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Without looking it up, who's the Patriots' best offensive player?
Was that no? Was that Juju Smith-Schuster? Is he still on that team?
Devontae Parker.
What do they got, man? They got nothing. There's no quarterback. You put Patrick Mahomes on that team right now, they probably don't win more than 9 games.
But they would win at least 8 or 9 because Pat Mahomes is just that good.
They would
literally
carry. They would not be any type of serious threat. Even he, a generational talent, needs talent around him.
Exactly. But all right, we're talking about different wish lists here. We all have 3 sporting lists or sporting wish lists. And, you know, and Gary, when I was talking to Ben about this one, I was like, you know, there's a lot of things that we wish for ourselves. This could be anything open-ended. What are your top 3 sporting wishes? Wishes, plural.
Now, are we talking about just all time, or are we talking about like what do we want right now?
Bucket list.
It could be sporting bucket list. It could be an event.
Before you die, what are 3 things you want to do or want to see that you haven't seen?
Okay, so the one thing that I have not seen that I as much as I am not necessarily a fan of theirs like that, I would love to see a Knicks parade down the Canyon of Heroes. I don't think there's a whole generation that's never seen anything like that before with this team. We've seen the Yankees, we've seen the Rangers, we've seen the Giants twice, you know. But to see a Knicks parade would be something special. I would go see that in person if that ever happened. Unlikely, but it would. So that's number 1. Number 2, I want to see the Astros just crumble. I got this 6-12 record's not enough for me. I need to see a total collapse. I need to see them just go under and stay under for a little while, go back to being that irrelevant team that they were in like the late 2000s, like those consistent 100-loss teams. I think it's high time that they get back to that. So that's another wish, and then my last wish would be. Really, I don't know how else to say it. I want to see a Giant Super Bowl. I want to see another one. Like, okay. I was very blessed in our college years to see it happen twice. Like, and yes, it was against the same team, and based off of where we went to college, it was even more fun for me because there's a lot of broken hearts that Monday after Super Bowl 42. Going to class was delightful. I want to feel that again. I want to feel that level of joy just for a championship, whether it be my Yankees, but I really want to see the Giants do it.
Okay. All right. I like that one. I'll go with this one and toss it to you, Ben. You know, for me, bucket list for me is to be a Broncos season ticket holder for life. There's a long wait list, but to be a Broncos season ticket holder and to be able to go to a Broncos game every Sunday, knowing we're probably going to lose, it would still just be great to be there. Anytime I'm in, that's like the Mecca, man. It's always great being back in Denver for a Broncos bet. Man, if you haven't gone to a Broncos game, you got to go. It is really something special. It should be on everyone's bucket list. This is the second one. I want to attend every single PGA Tour Grand Slam event. I want to go to the PGA Championship. I'm going to go to the Masters. I'm going to go to the other 2 whose names I can't remember. But I want to go to all 4 of them in the same year. I can't remember all 4 of them. Well, we got the Masters. We got the PGA Championship.
I'm going to let you try and figure it out. I'm going to let you.
Oh my God!
30 seconds.
The British
Players
Open?
Championship, U.S. Open.
Yeah. There we go. British Open, U.S. Open.
So, okay, yeah. I was like, and I also want to go to the Ryder Cup.
Ryder Cup, yeah.
The Ryder Cup would be a really dope event. There's something about going all of them. And then lastly, I want to go to the Monaco Grand Prix. I don't want to just go, but I want to do it up. Hopefully I can make the money to just really enjoy the full experience, go to all the parties, go to all the events, and maybe watch a little bit of racing in between. Definitely my top 3. Then what about you?
I like it. I can't believe you couldn't remember the U.S. Open.
Listen. It's been a long day.
We talk about Tiger Woods. The most impressive golf performance ever was Tiger Woods at the U.S.
Yeah, I'm
Open.
an old man. Yeah, I'm an old man. Forgive me. Oh no, what do I do with myself? I'm so embarrassed.
Anyways, we will go. My top three would be to attend the Masters is one, attend the Super Bowl is two, and I kind of went low bar here, but I would like to see a game at Texas Stadium, even though it's not called Texas Stadium anymore. Cowboys game at that stadium, that's on the bucket list too. So those would be my three right there.
Okay, I love it. All right, sir. Let's transition. Closing up here. We have our favorite segment of the day, and that's Gary's Gripes. Gary, in your audio version, what is your gripe?
So, I want to talk about O.J. Simpson. I think when he when he passed, there was legitimately like a very complex feeling about it that happened, and I'm speaking not just for me, but for a lot of other African Americans. And it was just like this: we can't really celebrate an alleged murderer. And then quickly, as soon as we got through our complicated thoughts, came an endless stream of memes and other GIFs and just, I mean, don't get me wrong, I posted them, so I'm as guilty as everybody else, but just it seemed weird, like weird how some people celebrated and some people didn't, and some people made jokes. And I just want to look at it just from this historical perspective. From the sporting side of it, we cannot ignore the fact that he is one of the 5 greatest running backs to have ever played the game. I think we can all agree upon that as far as his sports, as far as the sports side of things, his skill set. He was one of the 5 greatest to have ever done it. On the off the field side of things, the 3 most important trials in modern American history, and this is just my opinion, but I look at it from this perspective, the 3 most impactful trials were Brown versus the Board of Education, Roe v. Wade, and the state of California versus O.J. Simpson. Just the manner in which how everything, we were 7 and 8 years old when this happened, when this trial happened. As 7 and 8-year-olds, we knew who the hell Marcia Clark was. We knew who the hell Clarence Darden was. We knew who Johnny Cochran was. We knew who Lance Ito was. We knew who Robert Kardashian was. Like, we knew who Al Callens and Cato Kalin. These people became part of the zeitgeist in a way that they absolutely shouldn't have. But you look at that, you look at Court TV. Court TV became a thing off the strength of this trial. So I'm not here to celebrate OJ, but I'm here to acknowledge the sports side of it in the terms of him being one of the 5 greatest running backs ever, and off the field, how he changed how we watch television, how we interact, and the reactions from his verdict. It changed everything, and I don't think that situation in that moment gets as much credit as it should.
Hey, those are facts. And then, can we just say another very interesting fact that on the OJ, all the defense lawyers or everyone on OJ's side have all died from cancer. You guys realize that?
Yeah.
All of them. But the people on the prosecution are still alive. So I saw a video of that on TikTok. Yeah, I don't like to use TikTok. Oh, it's Stabby saying that. But that's kind of odd. Don't you think?
Yeah, it's just weird. It's weird, you know?
Yeah, it's just like all of them from cancer. Like, not other. I don't know, man. Maybe that's a telltale sign. I don't know. We're not gonna make any sense. Did he do it or did he not? We're not gonna say nothing.
He did. I'll say it. No, I'll say it. He did.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. There you go.
I think. I listen. He's dead. He can't do anything about it now. He did it.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, if the glove doesn't fit, you must have quit, right? But the man took medicine for his hand to get bigger That's why the glove couldn't fit. I mean,
All right.
But we're
We're
talk
gonna go
about that
down this
offline.
rabbit
I'm just
hole. It's
saying.
gonna go bad. So
No. I'm just saying. If the glove doesn't quit. I'm just saying, like that's one of the.
he
But okay.
wrote
Anyhow,
a book.
we have like
No.
4 minutes.
He wrote a book, and it said "If I Did It." So, just yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. He wrote a book about it. So,
No doubt. Well, all right. Well, this was a nice little fun episode. Really do appreciate it. Ben, I want to throw one question before we go. What is one sporting headline that I'll throw it to both of you? What is one sporting headline that you're excited about following the upcoming week? Ben and Gary.
I'm gonna go personal. What the heck are the Cowboys doing, and what are they gonna do? Because they've done just about nothing. So you got the draft rolling around pretty soon. Yeah, I think that the fact that Micah Parsons, Dak, and CeeDee Lamb has been talked about as far as getting new contracts, and have been talked about as far as why they haven't signed anybody, and then all three of them don't have contracts. So I don't know. To be honest, the Dak situation, McCarthy being a lame duck coach, like I don't know. It's just going to be interesting, especially in my eyes. There's a good chance Belichick's the coach next year. So to me, there's a lot of unknowns with the Cowboys, and I'm going to be personal on it, and I'm going to be following and watching that.
Okay. All right. That's fair. Gary.
I think for me, it's watching, and it's just maybe because it's local bias. There's a certain excitement going on in New York with the Knicks and the Rangers, because 30 years ago, the Rangers won the President's Trophy, the #1 seed, and won the Stanley Cup. The Knicks were the 2 seed and made their way to the NBA Finals. Fast forward to 30 years later, the Rangers won the President's Cup and the #1 seed. The Knicks are the 2 seed in the East. So we're watching the parallels and just kind of seeing like what's going to happen, who the Knicks opponents are going to be for the first round. I know that they said they don't care who it is. If I'm them, I'm leaning towards wanting to play Miami in the first round over Philadelphia, but that's another story for another time. But yes, I think just the overall excitement in New York, even though, I'm not really the biggest hockey fan, and my status where my loyalty lies in basketball, it's still fun to watch, because the last time this happened, I was 6 and I didn't really get to enjoy it or didn't understand what was going on until I was much older. So it's fun to see what we have going on now.
Okay. All right. I think that's a fair one. I'm going to speak on baseball, and I want to see how these pitchers, with all these litany of injuries, go about their game plan to attack their opponent, how to throw hard, what not to throw hard. Ben, on Patrick's, gotta give a shout out to Patrick on his spaces. You got to go on it. We talked about that, and it's interesting. We still had the same. We still had Tommy John injuries, but we didn't have the litany and the severity of these injuries for hard throwers when the pitch clock wasn't in place. So, I mean, we're all baseball guys here. You get set, you got to throw, then you got to get set, you got to throw. I'm sure at some point their arm might be telling them something to maybe slow down, but they can't, or they're gonna get a ball. So I don't know. I'm really interested to see how these teams tackle it. It's gonna be interesting. Definitely gonna be interesting. But hey, who knows? Yankees have a winning record and the Astros don't. So that's always something we're celebrating. So that is all, everyone. Well, hey, it's exciting time for these Yankees, man. I'm feeling good. Gary, you feeling good about these Yankees, man?
Do it in October.
I know it's early.
I'm sorry. Like I'm happy. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy for them. I'm happy for the start. Even though it looks like they're about to lose, and they'll lose their 3rd straight and be 12-6. Still, if you'd have told a Yankee fan who looked at this team during spring training and how the season ended last year, if you'd have told us 18 games in we'd be at least 6 games over 500, possibly 7, we take it, because we didn't see this one coming. But everything is starting to fall in our favor. So we're being, I'm being cautiously optimistic.
Sounds good. Well, all right, folks. Episodes. Till next time. I think I'm actually gonna try to go to the Coyotes' the last home game tomorrow. I'm gonna try. It might be interesting. All right, folks. Till next time. Don't forget, next Monday, Ben and I will be doing first round NFL draft, mock draft. Should be super exciting, and you can see our pretty faces. Who wouldn't want to miss that? Anywho, peace and love. Let's go Yankees.